What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner. This is part 2 from yesterday's video because that video ended up going over an hour long, so we cut it right in the middle somewhere, I don't know where. But yeah, Mason is gonna instantly just start talking about wherever we left off because I don't know where we left off.
That's food. Don't want to spend too much more time. We're gonna have to compress this a lot.
All right, so
water purification.
You don't have to go super in depth.
Too bad.
Okay.
You're in for the ride, whether you like it or not. No, maybe we'll just do a whole water thing video at another time. 'Cause I'm building some filters with some other guys here that I work with. Okay. So once that's done, that'd be a good whole video on that. I will just tell you right away, if you guys have questions about water, you should watch the Cana Provisions, C-A-N-A Provisions, YouTube. They did a video with Preparedness Systems about water purification, and it is amazing. Those guys really know their stuff. They make excellent products for water purification, but they don't just exist to sell you stuff. They just want you to know how to do this stuff, so they make free content about purifying water and where you can get the supplies other than them, like kits you can put together on Amazon. The Preparedness Systems video they did actually tells you how to make water purification systems from Amazon for about 200 bucks. You can purify hundreds of gallons of water through. That's what my friends and I are building.
I also think about those people that were stranded on their roof. They have water below them because...
You just can't drink it.
Yeah, well, but if you purify
Yes,
right?
But if you had your systems in place and you knew what you were doing, you could, absolutely.
Or even a life straw, you should be able to drink right out.
So the life straws are not actually all that great. Plus the problem with life straws is that you have to have a source that you can just drink from right then, so you can't store water generally through a life straw kind of thing.
But if you were just up on your roof and you had nothing but the straw.
The thing is though, with life straws, you have to be drinking like clear-ish water. Right, so you don't put it in like muddy, gross flood water and just drink straight from that. You got to be putting it in water that's already sort of been kind of filtered out. What that filters out is your microbial like bacteria and stuff like that, right? But it doesn't focus or doesn't filter out like the sediment and things like that, right? So that's why you always want to have two methods of water filtration. That's what they mentioned at this TUS course, TUS Med, that I was able to go to. At least two methods of purifying water, and you do both of them. It's not like fire starting is like, oh, you should have 3 ways to do it. They legit mean like you should purify your water twice before you drink it, at least. So what you're going to do is like an initial kind of filter, which are these ones that my friends and I are talking about. It's literally a Home Depot bucket with 3 mediums inside of it. You put sand at the bottom of the bucket. You put activated charcoal in the middle of the bucket. Activated charcoal, you can use regular charcoal, but it won't be as effective. Activated charcoal, and then pebbles at the top. And then you pour your water into that. And then there's another bucket on the bottom that collects the water that runs through those things. You wouldn't just drink that water though. That will purify all of the large stuff, all the particulates, and you'll have relatively clear water. Then you need to take that water out of that bottom bucket and you need to filter it another way, i.e. using chemical filtration like chlorine, which it's kind of counterintuitive, but you do actually use chlorine to purify water. If you guys aren't into the survival scene, I promise it's a real thing. You just have to get your ratios right, and Cana Provisions can help you with that. They have like stickers and little cards. I actually have the card in my wallet that tells you like the how much you dilute it and things like that. So yeah, you have to chemically purify it, or SteriPens, which I'm looking at getting right now. They're about 100 bucks or so, 150 bucks. It's literally an ultraviolet light pen, and you stick it into your water after you've filtered it through one of these other systems. You put it in your water, activate it for 10 to 15 seconds, depending on the amount of water, move it around, and that kills all the bacteria inside of it, and then you can drink your water.
What about that? Once it's through that first bucket, then you drink the second bucket with the life straw?
Yeah. Don't drink the second bucket until you've done another purification method, like chlorine.
Because that life straw is like 20 bucks online. That's why I was thinking.
Yeah, you could, yes. I'm sorry, I misheard what you said. You're right. You could drink the second bucket with your life straw. Yes. Another great source of water that a lot of people talk about, but not a lot of people have actually executed, is like pools. So here in Arizona, a lot of people have pools because it's really hot all the time. Below ground pools. Pools can be a good source of water if it is a chlorinated pool. You can't just drink that water though, right? This system that I just told you about though, the bucket thing though, the nice thing about chlorine pools is that the chlorine is in the pool to kill bacteria. So it's already doing the job that you would have to do with the second filtration because it's killing the chemicals. It's killing the bacteria. There's just too much chlorine. So that's why you can't drink just straight pool water. Well, you can, but you can if you want to live. So you can't just drink straight pool water. But if you take that pool water and you run it through this filtration system I just mentioned like 2 or 3 times, then you can drink that water because the bacteria is dead because it's full of chlorine, right? So pools can be a decent source of water in a survival situation if you prepare for that in advance and you have the tools and equipment and supplies that you need to do that, right? So just keep that in mind. Don't just be like, I got a pool, I don't need to prepare for water, things like meat.
If you have a hurricane,
you can't just drink that water. Yeah, and eventually, especially if this starts dragging on for like a month or something like that, you're not going to have the chlorine to keep your pool chlorinated anymore.
No.
So then
we had one growing up. You had to stay on top of that.
absolutely.
Otherwise it turns
I just
green.
got done maintaining one for the summer that I failed at. Sorry, Dad. But yeah, so if you don't maintain that level of chlorine actively, then it is going to grow bacteria, and then you are going to have to use a second purification method after the first purification method. So there you go. Storing water. These are the purification tablets. You can get them on Amazon. Like I said, these are Aquamira, but watch the Cana Provision Spirit Systems video. They know infinitely more about water purification than I ever will.
Again, that's its own topic because there's a lot that goes
we'll do a whole video on that. These are water purification things usually used for like RVs and stuff. But if you look on the back, it uses that same filtration system. So these are awesome, and you can screw these straight into a hose, like in your backyard. So there you go. There's your little bit of water purification. And water storage. These are BPA-free plastic water storage containers. These are designed specifically for storing water, so it's a certain type of plastic. It's not just like water bottles that you buy at the store. You can obviously just keep normal water bottles, but if they're exposed to UV light, you get microplastics and stuff in your water, and you're actually not supposed to leave water bottles like normal ones in the sun. They're supposed to be covered or inside. So it's not a great way to store water. These are awesome because the sun's not going to get to it, and it's thick enough plastic that it's not going to get worn out or easily busted. And then, of course, you can pour the water out of it. You can store purified water in a container like this for about 5 years, provided that you have put, again, it's like a stabilizer in it. So if you buy these chemicals, you can fill this thing up with purified water. You can put these little chlorine chemicals in it, the right ratio, and then you can leave this for 5 years and you'd still be able to drink it. Now, after that 5 years, you want to rotate it through, and you may even still want to run it through a basic purification thing if it's been stored for a few years, but it should theoretically be safe for about 5 years. So
I'm looking at it. I mean, that's a really convenient way of storing it and moving it.
And this is 20 liters.
Yeah, 5.5 gallons. So I buy the Costco 40 packs plus the 6-gallon packs. But you basically can fit almost the whole 6-gallon pack in here. Plus, you can carry 2 of them if you had to. I wouldn't want to carry 2 of those 6-gallon packs by themselves.
Basically a good rule of thumb is just to have 5 gallons per person per day inside your house. Again, this is 5.5, so one of these is for one person per day, if you're doing the 5 gallons per person. If you're just drinking it, gallon per person per day. And Ryan mentioned carrying it. This is the last thing I had for this.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so this is actually an old school Alice pack from like Nam and after. The nice thing about them is they make a little shelving adapter you can do that connects to the Alice pack, and it puts a shelf here. And then boom, you got a perfect backpack that's relatively comfortable for carrying these things long term. If you need to go bug out, for example, with your family, you can take one of these on this ruck and you can all take turns carrying it to extend how far you can go and still have water. These are still pretty cheap and easy to find. We made millions of them. So
nice.
Yep, there you go. That's all I'll say about water because we're probably already at like an hour.
You're good. This is why I also, I bought my first, well, not my first, I bought an off-road vehicle this year because I want to be better prepared for anything, and I wanted to go shoot in the desert because I don't drive a car that shoots in the desert or can take out there. But I bought a 4Runner with all this stuff in mind, just being able to travel with my kit, with whatever I need, camping, off-roading, stuff like that, and being able to shoot. So
yeah, so vehicle's a big one. We can kind of check that off the list.
Yeah, I wrote vehicles because, I mean, having the right vehicle can be helpful or detrimental.
Yep, have something tailored to the environment that you live in.
Yeah.
Right. So if you live in a city where it's all paved roads, and even outside the city, it's all nice and flat, you know, you can get away with a more normal vehicle. If you live in the backcountry in a place like in North Carolina where these guys were, something 4x4 is pretty good. Especially like if, you know, you have a 4x4, your wife can still have her Prius or whatever, you go to work and stuff like that. But have one, or Honda Civic, sorry. Have one vehicle though that you can use to kind of get around obstacles and stuff. It's an awesome plan. And gasoline for that vehicle.
Yeah, and I was debating truck versus SUV, but like the 4Runner just ended up fitting my needs.
Yeah, I went with truck from SUV just because I was like, this is too much. I don't need this much vehicle. So yeah, that's a good thing to do. Good place to start. Supplements.
I wrote supplements for, like, you know, if people need medication or vitamins. I don't know. I wrote that down.
Yeah, when you're eating a diet of Chef Boyardee, you're not going to be getting all the vitamins and stuff that you need. So it's not a bad idea to have some multivitamins on hand that you set aside from your normal stuff that you might take just for a situation like this to make sure your kids, especially younger kids, are getting the nutrition.
If I don't have coffee.
Yeah, and not even just from like, I don't want to get headaches thing, but unfortunately, like we said before with the guns portion of this, there are bad people out there. So if it's just you and like your wife and kids, your kids aren't going to be on guard duty. right? It's going to be like you at
Harley,
night.
guard
So
duty.
yeah, Harley's on guard duty. She's got us. So you may need some caffeine pills to stay awake. It's not a bad idea to have some energy stuff, set aside for you too. Money.
yeah.
I know that was something we were talking about earlier today.
Yeah.
Cash. It's this green stuff that we used to pay
Or
for
blue,
things with.
Which I don't have any blue on me.
Blue.
Blue hundreds.
Oh yeah. Oh, I guess yeah. Sorry. It's this paper stuff, right?
Yeah.
Sort of paper stuff that we carry with us that we used to pay for things for. You should always have a little bit of cash on you. That's just some life advice from Mason. You should always have like 40, 50 bucks in cash on you just in case. But anyway, for a survival situation especially, you should have a couple $100 in cash on you. Again, that's going to depend on where you are. Just keep in mind, cash may not be that valuable depending on the type of survival situation you're in. It might not be worth anything. It really just depends on where you are and how long your situation is. So failing that, some stuff to trade with.
Yeah.
And barter with, like you go to get your medications, you're like, man, I want to have like 1,000 pills of ibuprofen just in case. Well, buy that other bottle of ibuprofen, and maybe that one you can trade for some water, you can trade for some food or medical supplies or something if you need to.
Ammo is valuable to the right
Yep,
person.
ammo's lead. Lead is very valuable to people, right? So ammunition can be bad.
Common ones, 5.56, 9mm, 12 gauge.
Yep, 12 gauge shotgun, absolutely. Yep, so you should, ammunition, just think of things you can barter with. Actually, alcohol is pretty good too.
Oh gosh,
because
see, that's one I wouldn't think because I don't really.
not
drink.
only will people want to get drunk still because people are people, but also alcohol is an antiseptic. So if you have like straight vodka, like 40
if I
proof
drink that,
vodka,
would be the way to
yeah, I mean, I don't really drink a ton of it anymore anyway, but alcohol is good for bartering because people can use it to get drunk, but also it has medicinal properties as well. Pain relief before we had all these drugs, pain relief was, hey, we'll get this guy sloshed, and then we'll cut his leg off. That's just kind of how it was back in the day, unfortunately. So alcohol can be a good thing for you to barter with as well. Gasoline, obviously power even. Like, hey, dude, you can charge your phone for 5 hours or for an hour.
Yeah, got a generator.
Give me that extra MRE or whatever you got.
The jump boxes for the cars, those you can normally run plugins too. So.
Yep. So you just got to think of this kind of stuff. Plan of escape, we kind of already went over as we talking about planning and stuff like that. So
yeah, and just on the money thing, it's because if there's no service, no way to do credit card payments run off of internet, Wi-Fi, stuff like that. So it goes down in Tempe all the freaking time at work. It's so
in a
annoying.
regular place.
Yeah.
In a first world place where nothing's going wrong. Well, stuff's going wrong, but gas masks on here. We just did a video about that, so watch that video if it comes out before this one, right?
Yeah, the gas mask video will come out before this. Reason is that incident in Georgia where the plant blew up.
Yeah, there was a chlorine plant literally exploded and sent chlorine gas like everywhere all over the place, and so it was contaminated all around. They had to evacuate people and stuff. Man, it'd be real good to have a gas mask for that situation too, right? And they're pretty inexpensive now. You can get Israeli military surplus gas masks for like $30 or something like that with a filter. So have a gas mask per person and maybe 2 filters that are sealed per person.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Also for fires like smoke inhalation.
Yeah. Well, you can do oxygen and stuff like that for that. But yes, it would help a little bit. Clothing. Have appropriate clothing to the environment that you find yourself in, right?
Yeah, or
so
extra
here,
clothing.
I don't have a ton of cold weather clothing. I have some, but my cold weather clothing is not going to be the same as people in New York's cold weather clothing, right? Or vice versa. They're not going to have a lot of shorts and tank tops, right? But I'm going to have shorts and tank tops because we live in Arizona.
If you don't have a nightlife in Arizona, you can be in this year-round with shorts.
Pretty much,
it's never colder than like 50 degrees during the day. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That also means though, like especially for the guys or the people that are trapped in North Carolina and stuff like that, wet weather clothing. You should have a set of wet weather clothing for every member of your party or family, right? So like some rubber boots for your kids, some water resistant boots and stuff for you, maybe wet weather pants, wet weather top, a poncho, something like that for everybody in your family.
Way to dry them and keep them warm, hypothermia.
And not that crappy kind of ponchos you buy that are like the emergency survival ones. Get a halfway decent like military surplus poncho for everybody. They're like $30.
If you're going to be sleeping on your roof, maybe a sleeping bag
Yeah,
would be...
and ponchos are great too because you can make shelters and stuff out of them. So absolutely. Sleeping bivy cover we call them. It's the wet weather cover that goes over your sleeping bag in the military. Bivy covers are great too because you can just put blankets inside of it and sleep in it, and it's just like waterproof, water resistant. The clothing's good. Generator was awesome if you can have it, especially in the people trapped in North Carolina. I've seen some of the videos and stuff. People using generators for it because, like I said, I mean you could even trade power for people. Maybe not.
It doesn't even have to be like a gas-powered generator. It could be that vehicle jump box that just stores power to jump your car.
Yeah, they also have like propane-powered generators, gas-powered generators, generator-powered generators. There's like all kinds of everything. Your Prius, for your Prius's battery. I actually heard about people doing this. They were hooking like their Prius up to their house and leaving their Prius running and using it as a lithium battery, because it is essentially a giant lithium battery. I do not know the validity of that or if it's a real thing, but I just saw something about that the other day. It was pretty neat. So yeah, generators are awesome to have. A good, depends on what you want to do with it. A good quality generator, $500 to $10,000. It just depends on the size that you're talking about, right?
I got $100, so.
Yeah, if you just want like an emergency survival one, go to Harbor Freight. Actually, you can get a decent little gas generator for $250 or something like that. Nice. That'll do you pretty well. Small too. We kind of talked about bartering a little bit.
Bartering is fine. Be at a point where
trade.
you don't have to barter ideally, but chances are you might need something.
Community was a big one I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so that could be friends, family, neighbors, people in other states. Like I could basically go to any of our surrounding states and I have someone that I could be like, hey, can I stay with you for a week or till this blows over?
No one survives alone. Well, except just like TV shows and stuff like that, right? But a long-term survival situation, you're not going to do it alone. It takes a team. It takes a group of people. And so that's something kind of I'm guilty of as a millennial. I don't really know my neighbors very well because you just don't like talk to your neighbors and stuff like that. People our age don't usually like do that. But you should at least know a couple of them. Like my parents' neighborhood, they're friends with everyone on their block, right? So we know like if something happens, all the people on the block can at least work together to kind of help get through a situation like that. So you should have one or two people close to you geographically that you can at least like know their face and name, and maybe every once in a while be like, hey, Bob or whatever, so that you're not just going in cold. If there's some kind of survival situation, you at least like can put a name to a face and work with them.
Maybe walking distance, short driving distance.
And having plans for your friends to meet and rally together with you and with their families is an excellent thing to do too. But you got to know people, man. You got to include your immediate family in it too. So even if you're like, I'm the big tough macho dude in my household, you got to include your kids. You got to include your wife or your spouse, whatever. You got to include that person in part of your plans because they're going to be in it with you, right?
So
planning for loss of life. That's
the planning / loss of life, that could be either a death or you get separated.
Because have a plan to get reunited again.
Yeah, because obviously, like I think the count last time I checked was like 200 people have died. But what happens if they die in front of you? If they get swept away in front of you, you still have to be able to compose yourself and do what needs to be done. Yeah,
unfortunately, a lot of Americans are disconnected from this level of stuff. But just understand that people are dying in America right now. American citizens are dying in a natural disaster and emergency. And unfortunately, people die in the United States every day. And while we like to think that we're like inured to violence and stuff, not really, man. Until you actually see something like that happen, it's pretty terrible. And you have to kind of war game it, we call it, by understanding that bad things happen. And you have to keep going though, right? Because even if someone in your immediate family gets hurt severely or killed, God forbid, you can't just stop and give up. You have other people that are counting on you. You got to take care of too.
I also thought of it for this, like you may not even be able to do anything with the body if you're under a lake at that point. Like,
unfortunately.
I was just thinking of that because obviously people died during this event, and there's towns underwater. So.
It's a sad and morbid topic, but one thing you can do in a situation like that kind of leads into one of the next things down here. If you have a map, and you should have a map of your immediate area, even if it's just like a city atlas or state atlas you get at the gas station or whatever, what you can do at least is mark your location on that map, or the location of the last place you saw the person, or where the body is. God forbid, you can mark that location. So you can't take it with you or them with you, but at least when the location is marked, you can come back and get them for when the emergency's over, which is good. And again, maps. Have a map. So have a basic plan or some routes laid out for where you would go if you have to, or how you'd get out of a place. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people are like, oh, well, in Arizona specifically, oh, we'll just go to Flagstaff if there's an apocalypse because there's trees and stuff. That's great. There's like one way up. There's like one big freeway that goes to Flagstaff, and everybody else is going to be doing the same thing that you are. So a better option is to know like 2 or 3 small roads that go up to Flagstaff, and there are back ways to get there.
And this also comes into play with the vehicle, having the right vehicle.
Yep. So wherever you are, you should look up some contingency plans. You should have at least 3 routes planned for how you can get from one place to another.
Yeah. Not using your iPhone.
Yeah, I would plan for your iPhone not to work, not to have service. So have paper maps and know how to do map reading. That's an entire video too, but that's really boring, and I don't think anybody wants to watch it.
I actually want to learn that. I want to learn
it. Sucks, right? But it's a very important skill.
Now, what about GPS? Would a handheld GPS still work in those?
As long as the satellites are still in place, yeah.
Okay.
And there hasn't been some kind of EMP or whatever that disabled it. But they take batteries.
In North Carolina, in the dead zone, would a standard GPS still work?
As long as you can see the sky And you're within the satellite visual range of it, yeah, it should. I mean, we use them in the military in very austere, crappy environments with no service too, and they work.
A lot of GPSs have like an SOS that they can send out.
Yes, the Garmin InReach is a really good one to use.
It would charge you though if you used it for non-emergencies, right? Because that's like.
Well, it depends on which kind of device you're talking about, because like some have plans and you pay like $10 a month or whatever for the plan, and you can send messages and stuff. Some of them you activate the plan only when you're going to use it, and some of them, yeah, I'm sure that you'd be fine if you had to use it in real life for like a people are dying emergency. I don't think the company would come after you for it. Garmin would be really
I was thinking like
because
I feel
but it
like
might not work unless you pay the money for it.
Yeah, because I have a GPS and I haven't used it very much. I want to learn it, but I think there's a way to call on it even though I don't have any plan with it.
Yeah, again, it depends on the model you have, but I know the Garmin InReach you can. I have a Garmin Fortec 401. I don't know that you can do that with the 401s. You might be able to do it with the 601, but yeah, Glenn, the owner of Independence Training, is an avid hunter, so he's out in the wilderness a lot. So yeah, he uses the Garmin InReach. And there's one other one that I can't remember because there's too much stuff going on inside there. But yeah, GPSs are good to have, absolutely. Also, we talked about phones and how they probably won't work. You can actually download maps from Google Maps and store them on your phone. Onyx, yes, there we go. Onyx.
I put it in the last video.
For hunting, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about
Onyx is great. But you can, from Google Maps, like store the maps on your phone for your area so that even if there's no service to your phone, you can still, as long as you have power, you can still look on your phone and use the map on it. There's also an app you can get on Apple called MGRS, Military Grid Reference System. It's how we use the type of method we use for map reading in the military. But you can download this app for free, or you can pay the premium version of it or whatever. But then you can download maps onto this app and you just have them on your phone. You don't need service to use it. So. Nice. Yeah, so GPS is good. Radios, woo!
Yeah,
man, that's a whole nother video too. So we'll probably have to do a radio video.
I don't know anything about radios.
This is probably the most basic and common radio that you will find available out there. This is a Baofeng UV5R. This is just a little handheld radio. You can plug a hand mic into it. You can put this cool disruptively dynamic headsets on it. I have the extended battery. I had one of these things that I stored in my vehicle. And I had it in there for over a year, never took it out, never did anything with it. And then when I took it out like 4 months ago, the battery was still fully charged.
That's awesome.
So they're actually, for being little Chinese radios, they're actually pretty good. You can get FM on them too, so if you just want to listen to the radio.
How much does something like this cost for the average person? Because I don't know.
These are $30.
Wow.
With the extended battery and stuff, maybe $40. And you want to get an aftermarket antenna because the ones that come with them suck. This is actually, even though it's short, this is a better antenna than the stock one that's longer because this is real. It's by a company called Diamond Antenna. So it's an American company, not a cheap knockoff of the Diamond Antenna, which you can find on Amazon. But again, that's going to be the whole video.
How far away would you be able to listen to someone else right now?
So that's the thing with these radios, right? On a good day where it's nice and clear and you're in a sort of elevated position, about 2 miles.
Okay.
Right? You can push that with different antennas and with some plugging it into your vehicle where it has more power. But generally speaking, like between 1 mile and 2 miles, terrain dependent, right? If you're in a city, it might be less because of the buildings and stuff.
What about in a building and someone else is in a building 1 mile from here right now in the city? No?
Probably not. Yeah, it depends on honestly, man, it depends on like even what the building's made out of.
Got it.
If it's like a concrete building, probably not. If it's a metal building, probably not. If it's like all tile and stuff like that, maybe.
Vehicle to vehicle though, within a mile?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
So my friends and I, when we like drive places, we each put one of these in our vehicle and we just make fun of each other and stuff as we drive. So
yeah, that's cool. I want to get one of those. Yeah. And if you're
like I said, they're like $30, dude.
That's not bad. And that's without having to program them to a specific thing, right?
So once you get it, you'll have to program like channels into it. It's not that hard to figure out. You can jailbreak them so where you can do a little bit more stuff with them, but that again is like I'm not that autistic about radios, unfortunately, but that's like a whole nother thing you can do. And then, you can just click on it, you can see the different types of things. I really wanted it to play the radio, but I forgot which button that is that does that. Okay.
And staying on top of it, guys, because obviously knowledge can be lost, but...
Yeah. Oh, there's a little flashlight on there. Isn't that neat?
Now I think it's a stun gun.
And a strobe, so there you go. It's for signaling too, and then you can lock it. So
speaking of signaling, I don't want to forget this. This is a $30 Amazon laser. It is green, and if you guys have ever used one of these, if you go outside at night and you point it up, you can see the beam all the way up.
Harley's getting excited.
Oh yeah, she saw the laser. So for signaling, I got this through our store because I work at a gun store. It came in and it was like $10.
You work at a gun store?
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
But something like this, I think like at night, if I shine this in the sky, everyone would be able to see it. Like,
Yeah, lasers are for signaling.
Yeah. So it is extremely bright. It's the size of a flashlight, but
Lasers are awesome for signaling. Don't shine them at planes.
no.
Unless you're in a survival situation.
I think of that administrative results meme. It's like when the C-130 makes a turn after you just turn the laser.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, so unless you're in a survival situation, don't shine them at planes. But yeah, visible laser, yes. Even IR lasers, because believe it or not, first responders, like some fire, paramedics, helicopters and stuff, have like IR and night vision, so they'd be able to see an IR laser. But
yeah.
Yep, and flashlights are a big one. Ryan's got a really good quality flashlight.
Yeah, this is a mod light. You don't have to go this crazy.
I've got the best flashlight ever made by man. It's an Army L-shaped flashlight. We still somehow use these things.
That's crazy.
They're like indestructible. They take D-cell batteries. I don't know if you younger people even know what a D-cell battery is.
I just did a video on some mag lights that I got. They take the 3 D-cell batteries, but other thing is that's very useful and probably more useful than a flashlight in a scenario like this is headlamps. Headlamps are so important because they're hands-free. They last for days. Like if I kept this on, this is gonna last maybe an hour, 2 hours tops. Like it gets hot too. Like I can't just sit here and hold it. It will get hot. But headlamps, the Petzl headlamp that I use, it has a rechargeable battery. They're like 60, 70 bucks.
Petzl's a good brand. That's what I use
But
too.
on the low setting, it'll last like 2 days of just constant on. So
the nice thing about these old military flashlights, they do make on Amazon now LED bulbs to make them actual like flashlights, but they also have these little filters that come in the bottom of it. There's a red, there's a blue, and there's a green filter. So you can put them over the lens and then you get red, green, or blue light. Each color light actually is used for a different purpose. Most people don't know that. Red light obviously is because it doesn't damage your night vision, they say, and then also military maps are made to be red under red light at night. So they have special ink and stuff in them. But blue light is actually the signal for a medical emergency. So if you're in a regular situation and out and about, shining a bunch of blue light around is a symbol to people that you are experiencing some kind of medical
would
emergency.
anything see this with that blue lens on?
No, not from anything more than like 2 feet away from you. But like I said, though, if you swap that LED battery on it, Kenneth is the one who sent me that, and I was like, that's cool, dude, but I'm probably just going to buy a real flashlight instead.
Or if you're trying to signal during the day, mirrors.
Yeah, signaling mirrors are great because also you can use them for fire starters too.
Yeah.
Some of them you can use for fire starters. We did radio, we did lights. We are probably at like 2 hours long on this video. Might have to make a part 2. Thermal night vision is awesome if you have the capability of it.
I didn't think it'd be super important for
It's probably for a natural disaster like the very last thing that I would buy to prepare for. But
here,
it is a cool capability.
So maybe not natural disaster here, but let's say we were without power for days on end, I would have my night vision on standby.
If you are like a search and rescue type person, though, obviously that should be higher up on your list because it's going to help you find people at night, which is what you're trying to do. Yeah, thermal would be even better. One or the other for a search and rescue type person, probably thermal for me because it's easier to pick people up.
Yeah, thermal will pick, like my thermal, I have the iRate RH25. I can see for well over 1,000 yards. Vehicles, a fire would be night and day, so.
Absolutely. Signal flares are a good one.
Signal flares are cheap too.
I kind of went over that a little bit in the grenade video that I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, smoke grenades and stuff that are big bright colors like purple or blue or red, good for signaling to let people know.
$30 online.
Yeah, the smoke grenades are like
30, 40
10, 12 bucks actually. The Enola Gay ones, yeah, are like 10 or 12 bucks.
Yeah. Just ways to make yourself known that
road
you're there.
flares, yeah, road flares are good.
Helicopters above day or night.
I like things that have more than one purpose too. So road flares are good because you can also use them to start fires. Lasers, you mentioned that already.
Yeah,
fire, let's talk about fire.
Yeah.
So fire is an important one because fire, good.
Most
right?
of the time.
Survival bad, fire good, right? Fire is good for humans because one, it obviously keeps us warm. 2, we can cook food with it, and probably most importantly, we can purify water with it. The most OG water purification method out there is to boil your water. You have to bring it to a rolling boil, but you filter it first through like cheesecloth. It's something they use for cooking, but also like a schmog or something. Filter the water through that to get big particulates out of it. Put it in a pot, boil the heck out of it so it comes to a big rolling boil. Let it sit in the rolling boil for a while, and that will kill the bacteria, and then you can drink it. So fire is a great thing, and that's why you should have at least one is one is none, 2 is one kind of thing for fire starting. So
lighters are cheap and small. Matches are cheap and small.
A little Bic lighter.
Yeah.
Plus, I always put some duct tape on them because duct tape is pretty flammable.
Magnesium is fun.
But also you can use it for other stuff. Yeah, magnesium fire starters are awesome too. There's a lot of different fire starting material. There's like little bricks of the compressed wood with impregnated with like Vaseline essentially, that burn faster. You can take lint, dryer lint from your dryer. Is a really good way to start fire. Also, you should clean your dryer lint out because people die in fires every year from dryer lint in their houses. Firefighters told me that.
Yeah.
So those are good things you can use. Cotton balls with Vaseline are good things you can use. You can make a lot of these things yourself. You can buy purpose-built ones on Amazon. They're not expensive. But, you know, just some considerations. Definitely have methods to make fire. At least 2, probably 3 methods of making fire. But for some reason, man, I always see people underestimate the value of just like a cheap, crappy lighter.
This can start hundreds of fires.
And even when it's out of fuel, it still sparks when you strike it. So you can still use it as a fire starter even without any gas or any fuel inside of it, right? So just buy like a 10-pack of these for like $5.
Yeah.
And then boom, there you go. This shouldn't be your only method though, understand, because it is really hard to start fires in like rainy environments or windy environments with these
Waterproof
lighters.
matches.
Yeah, the super thick stormproof matches.
Oh yeah, stormproof. They come in like an orange container.
Yeah, and they're also like this tall, and then the flame material on them is like huge. So yeah, stormproof matches are good. I almost completely overlooked this, even though it's sitting right in front of me. I recommend some kind of good quality fixed blade knife for a survival situation. It doesn't have to be John Rambo, like huge. This is probably on the larger side, honestly, for me. But got this at the gun store. Actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't bring a fixed blade this time.
So
I had pocket knives.
But you will notice I did, actually I just did a thing with this the other day. I should clean it. I did specifically have a fixed blade knife though. I'm not talking about a little folding pocket knife. Those are for totally different things, right? A folding pocket knife is something everybody should carry around with them every day. It's not for like killing people or dynamic personal defense or anything. It's for like opening MREs or cutting little strings and stuff like that. This is for survival. This is just a nut. You wouldn't take this out to cut a box open unless it was part of your survival thing. This is the knife that you only use for survival situations. And it's thick. It's good quality steel. It's not like crappy Amazon steel. It's 14C28N, which is like Scandinavian. It's good. It's good steel, right? And you want it to be thick because I can take this and with like something heavy, I can chop logs with it for kindling. I can cut cable. Man, it would make me feel bad to do it, but I could dig a hole with this knife too because it's thick, strong. I definitely also recommend a full tang knife. We could do a whole knife video too. I'm not a knife
I have a lot of
person,
knives, but I'm not a knife.
Full tang just means that basically the metal the blade's made out of goes all the way through the handle. It's just stronger. You can use this to pry stuff. You can't really do that with non-full tang knives because they'll break or bend. And then, you know, good little leather sheath, something like that that'll last for a long time. Kydex is fine too. So a good fixed blade knife is very important.
You don't need to spend a lot. Like cold steel makes really good stuff for the money.
Maybe a hatchet even, like just a small, not a giant wood splitting axe necessarily.
I keep one in my car,
but
one of the Gerber ones.
Oh yeah, the Gerber ones are nice. I just have an old school, like Harbor Freight had wooden, just old school wood handled axes for like $8 or something like that. So it's probably gonna break after the first like 100 logs that I cut with it, but it's better than nothing. Good pair of gloves. These are not dynamic tactical gloves. These are just straight up like farmhand leather gloves. These things will last a really long time. They're really good quality, legit animal leather, nothing fake, no pleather here or anything like that.
I got mechanics gloves.
Yeah, and the mechanics gloves are fine too, absolutely. These are just like cheap, dude. You get like a 3-pack of these for $12 at Cal Ranch, something like that. If you have Cal Ranches out where you're a Tractor Supply, probably. What else we got? Oh yeah, this just kind of, I guess this is finishing up, sort of.
Yeah, because we got.
I like to make
toilet paper. You got to stockpile toilet paper.
That's the last thing we talk about.
Costco,
is the toilet paper.
buy it all.
You need to buy 8 pallets of toilet paper per person per day. All right, no, don't do that because that's how we get these situations where we're like murdering each other in Costco over toilet paper.
It's made in America, not on boats.
There's a lot of things you can wipe your butt with. Like, it doesn't just have to be toilet paper. Socks, if you cut strips off your socks, any of my military guys probably know what that's like. You got to cut a strip off your sock when you're squatting and realize you don't have any toilet paper. It sucks, but you can do that. Take a strip off your t-shirt, whatever you got to do. You should have a little toilet paper on hand just in case. Wet wipes are a great thing too for survival because, man, hygiene is insanely important to survival and most people don't consider that as part of their plan. Yeah. You still got to have toothpaste to brush your teeth or your teeth will rot out. So have some kind of way to clean your teeth, have some way to clean your butt, clean your armpits. You should have those things available. So I like wet wipes. Dude wipes are my favorite ones. I'm trying to get a Dude Wipe sponsorship, you know. So nice. Dude wipes are great. You can have them stored for a little while. They last quite a while. They just keep you clean, man. You can use them to wash your body or your butt, doesn't matter. So that's good. And then I like to have reference cards. This is literally, it's from a guy called Tactical Forge on Etsy. He's got a little Etsy store, it's pretty cool. I don't know the guy personally, but I ordered some of these for other things too, like military stuff, and they were really good. So I got the survival one. It just has like very basic, straight up military manual kind of level of survival things. It's
Or
just
trying to explain to you.
yeah, it's just nice because I don't have to like remember how heat conduction works because I can look at this, or I don't have to memorize some cool method for building a lean-to because this has a breakdown of it for me, right?
Nice.
And then it goes over some principles and stuff too, which is just nice to have. So don't underestimate the power of a good notebook with notes in it and some reference cards. I would absolutely put in any, like, say you were making a 3-day bag, 3-day backpack for a kind of
And
bug.
this takes up no space.
Yeah, and it's light, and it's laminated, so it's waterproof. If you were putting together that 3-day pack like we recommended at the beginning of the video, I would absolutely have a notebook and a pen in there, or 2 pens. You know, or maybe a pencil even, because then you can just sharpen it with a knife. But yep, I'd have a notebook and some method to write things down with, because you never know, you might have to take notes on, like, oh cool, at this GPS coordinate we dug a geocache or whatever that we left behind, so in case we need it later or whatever. Or like, oh, we saw a body in this building in this location, so we want to report that to first responders so they can come in and get them, or professional responders so they can get them. So yeah, have a notebook, be able to write things down, that kind of stuff. Man, we're gonna look at that, and it's gonna be like your phone died an hour and a half ago or something like that.
I really hope not. Insurance was one, just about maybe like home insurance, vehicle insurance.
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that,
yeah. So I've heard some stories about people getting screwed over by insurance companies in North Carolina because they're like, oh, you didn't have flooding on your insurance. Man, it sucks that we have to spend money to get our house fixed and stuff, but if you live in an area where that's even a remote possibility, you got to have it insured, man. Otherwise, like, you can survive this situation, which is awesome, you know, and good you overcame that situation. Then what? If your house is gone and your insurance company's not paying for it, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have like an extra 300 grand laying around for me to buy a new house. So if my house got destroyed and I had no insurance to pay for it, I would be living at the Veteran Center or something.
He'd be living here.
Yeah, I'd be living at this office, right, where I work at, because I don't have a spare 300 grand to buy another house with.
And if your job is washed away, like, you know,
Yeah, so, you know, and health insurance will of course still be relevant. You may not be able to use it right then, but you certainly will be able to later if you need long-term care as a result of what happened to you in an emergency. So I don't want to undersell the importance of preparing in advance, and unfortunately having insurance is like that. Also, life insurance, I mean, I'm not going to hit on that too much because there are people going through this right now in real life. Just understand, I mean, having those things, you know, if something happens, it can be good for your family, so they don't have to worry about taking care of funeral expenses and stuff like that.
I think that's it. Obviously, guys, you know, this is a lot of stuff to talk about. And like Mason said, every individual thing that I wrote down or we wrote down, that could be its own video. But again, I thought of this because of everything that's going on the East Coast right now. And it's tragic, but life and weather and all that doesn't care. So if you're not prepared, you're going to have a hard time. And I think it's better to be prepared. So
hopefully, even if you just watch the beginning and the end of this video, if you take anything from this, at least now you have a baseline of like where to start. You know, if anything can be a catalyst for you to start your journey of being prepared. I'm not telling you to be like a prepper like on TV or whatever,
No.
but have some water in your house, have some food in your house, so that if something happens and you can't go to the store for 2-3 days, you'll be all set. In a perfect world, remember, you want to try and have a 3-day bag for each person in your house if you have to leave your house, and 2 weeks worth of supplies in your house if you have to stay in your house. Right, so just that's a good baseline for you guys to start, and hopefully you never have to experience any of this stuff, of course. But you know, our prayers and stuff go out to the people that are going through it right now. I'm trying to get some care packages together to send to people for like medical supplies and stuff, because obviously I work at a company that has a ton of medical supplies. But man, you know, it's harder than you think to find people that you can just mail med stuff to. Everyone's like, oh, give us money at this GoFundMe and we'll use it to help people. And it's like, how about I just give you stuff that I know you can use to help people.
And I know, like, I see all the videos popping up of like the civilians trying to help out and having problems with the local government.
Yeah, dealing with it. And you know, a lot of that just comes down to like, I'm not going to make excuses for the government, because believe me, I'm not the biggest fan of the government. But you can't just start letting everybody run into a situation like that, you know, because someone might be like, oh, I'm here to help, and they have no training whatsoever in survival or medical, and then they just get there and then they need to call the National Guard to get them out because they got stuck or something. So it's hard to vet people like that in a survival situation.
Understandable.
So I'm sure like SOPs just like, hey, we got to stop people from coming in. I mean, the reality should probably be like, hey, if they have any kind of credentials, you know, and or if they show up and I look at them and I'm like, the guy looks like he knows what he's doing, let him in, you know. So that's really just going to depend on the government that you're in and the individual person that it is, who your governor is, depending on the state and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes for that. Obviously FEMA sucks, you know, they're not great. The military, it's unfortunate, but like the active duty military has been prepared to go in and help people for a couple days now, but they're prevented from doing so because we're not allowed to act on American soil unless certain conditions are met. And the governor of Asheville, or Asheville, the governor of Asheville has kind of not done the things that are required for the military to come in and help people, the active duty military to help people. So, you know, it just kind of sucks. It's just how it is.
Well, thank you for all the information. I know it was a lot, and I know this is probably a long video, but if you guys made it to the end, thank you guys for
Congratulations, you win the prize.
You're ahead of the other people that don't want to prepare for this, and it's hard. Like I said, I know I'm behind on some of this stuff, but just start small, work your way up, keep going, and
every time I go to the grocery store, I buy like 2 gallons of water.
Yeah, I definitely stocked up more, but yeah, obviously you drink it fast, so we make those Costco trips once a month, but it might be better to go twice a month. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you, Mason.
Absolutely, man. Happy to help.
Go check out all the other videos he's been in because he's
HOA enforcement, independence training, first responders. Watch it all because
he's a jack of all trades.
do it a lot.
All right, thanks guys.
See ya.